So Arne Slot is officially the Liverpool manager, announced by the club, and I've taken my time to make this video because I didn't want to be burned again, so we've been super careful. But Jurgen Klopp is no longer in charge at Anfield, and I'm fine. I'm fine. Today we're going to talk about the new revolution, Arne Slot's Liverpool. We're going to think about how he might set the team up, look at the tactics, think about what tactics he used back at Feyenoord. Will he use the same system here at Liverpool, or will he change things up slightly? And perhaps most importantly, where will the current Liverpool personnel fit inside that Slot system? We'll also talk about transfers, and we'll also simulate one season to find out how FM24 thinks Arne Slot is going to do at Anfield. This is obviously a topic that I'm hugely passionate about, and I've got so many ideas about what might be, but obviously a lot of it is going to be hypothetical. So come with me on a journey. Let's discuss things. Let's have a chat. Come on. Hello everyone, welcome to a video that I've been thinking about making, obviously now, for a while. This is Arne Slot's Liverpool system. In my opinion, this is used to RDF. Shout out to RDF Tactics once again. If you want to go and find a real life tactic from a real life manager and use it in your Football Manager game, RDF is the guy for that, and we love RDF here. So I've used his Arne Slot 4-2-3-1 Feyenoord system, and he actually has it slightly asymmetrical if you go and check out his video, which will be in the link. That link to that will be in the description of today's video, by the way. I'm just going to put it in a more regimented 4-2-3-1 because this is kind of how I expect. Obviously, in-game, it might look a little bit more asymmetric, but we're going to go with a 4-2-3-1, and I do expect Arne Slot to set up in a 4-2-3-1 next season. Is that nailed on? No. Will they potentially go with a 4-3-3? He could, and he has played a 4-3-3 at Feyenoord as well. So, as with a lot of today's video, we're using hypotheticals. I'm going to put my opinion forward for what I think he will do. I'm very happy to be proven wrong because we're working with unknowns here, aren't we? It's a really easy thing to say, I think, is to look at how a previous manager played at a previous club and just say they have to play like that at their new club. It's not always the way. Managers change and systems change, of course. I think with a manager like Slot, we're more likely to see that change as well, compared to maybe like a Ruben Amorim, who is very fixated with the system that they have used throughout their career. Slot, I think, could play a 4-3-3, and even this system that we're going to look at today could well be a 4-3-3 with this number 10 dropping in to make a third midfielder, depending on who is playing in that position. So just bear all of that in mind in today's video. We're going to talk things through. We're going to look at the state of the current Liverpool squad, how it fits towards an Arne Slot system, and how it fits into a completely new structure at Liverpool. Of course, they have changed all of the backroom staff. There is now, of course, the manager, or head coach, actually, as we should refer to Arne Slot. There's going to be a new assistant manager with Pep Linders also exiting. Loads of the backroom staff, Peter Kravitz, Vita Matos, all exiting, as well as Jurgen Klopp, as well as a new structure above that. Richard Hughes is the new director of football at the club. I've put a couple of these in just because of the way that we're going to do today's video. If we go to our all staff here, I brought in Richard Hughes as our director of football, but above him, we do have Michael Edwards, who I've not brought in yet, but I might go and do that. Michael Edwards back at the club. He'll have very clear ideas. I wonder if we're going to see a very Edwards type summer this season in terms of transfers. Is it going to be very data driven? You would definitely expect it to be, wouldn't you? How will the team look based on all of these changes? Which players are not going to fit the mold anymore and maybe will be moved on? Which players are nailed on to start in this team? How will it look? Let's crack into it. So I've put in the players that I think are pretty much nailed on starters in this team, although there is still a little bit about this that I might change too. We've started with the goalkeeper, Alisson. I expect him to stay, which there is maybe some rumours. I think all of these players at the moment, with a manager like Jurgen Klopp leaving, I think you can put a very small question mark next to every player, in that it seems like a logical time if you were thinking about, okay, I'm going to move on to the next stage of my career or to another club. This feels like a good point to go and do it. So I would not be shocked if there are some exits this summer. I'd be very sad, especially for particular players here, but I wouldn't be shocked by that. I think Alisson is one that is likely to stay, with the news that Tafarel, I think he was a coach at Liverpool, but he's very close to Alisson, Brazilian. He's staying, even though a lot of the goalkeeping coaches have moved on. I think that's a good sign that Alisson is going to stick at Liverpool. So we're going to go with him in goal, which I think is nailed on. Van Dijk is going to stay. I just feel like there was a few rumours about him, but he's the captain. He's talked about being here next season, so he's in at the left-sided centre-back spot. In this system, we've got a central defender and a ball-playing defender. I wonder if this, when you go to Liverpool, both become ball-playing defenders. Obviously, the way that they set up, the way that Liverpool build up is with the 2 at the back and then the 5 almost in front of it. I don't know if that's going to change with Arne Slot. I almost want it to. There's a part of me that wants Liverpool to adopt the build-up shape that Man City and Arsenal use, which is they have 3, Liverpool have 2, and it does leave us a little bit open, I feel personally. So I do wonder if there's going to be a tweak in that. Van Dijk is in. I've left this spot clear here, but I think it remains to be seen. Ibrahima Konate and Jarell Quansah are going to be vying for that spot alongside Van Dijk. Klopp had a real fondness for Jarell Quansah, and we saw his quality last season. He's still so young. Konate was great for big portions of last season, but did fall out of form towards the end of the campaign. So I wonder, there's a question mark over that, but I think both are really good options. Will Liverpool go and sign a centre-back in the summer? I think the answer has to almost be yes. Joel Matip is leaving the club, or that's already confirmed. He's going on a free, and we just don't have the numbers there. It seems like Joe Gomez isn't going to be used as a centre-back at the moment. He's used out on the left-hand side to good effect, and right-hand side when we had Trent out and Bradley wasn't already in the team by that point. I think Liverpool do need to go and sign a centre-back, so I do expect that to happen. Will it be a long-term successor to Van Dijk on the left-hand side? Potentially. We'll have a look at those centre-backs that I think might be in the conversation in a little bit. But moving through, I'll put Quansah in there for now because he ended the season with this spot. I've put Trent in. Now, this is an interesting thing for me. With Slot system, this right-back is not the most progressive. He is very much inverted, which is something that Trent has been doing. For Feyenoord this season, it has been Geertruida, who is a fantastic footballer linked with Liverpool. I don't know if I'm all over that. I don't know if I love the idea of going to sign players from the former team. I think we've seen it not work too often with somebody like Ten Hag, and I feel like maybe Slot wants to avoid that because there's already going to be comparisons between Slot and Ten Hag, isn't there? I just want to say actually at this point here, I really hope that Slot works out at Liverpool. I'm really realistic with how I feel about how it's going to go. It's such a huge task. There will be people who say he's obviously going to fail. It's the next Ten Hag, etc., etc. You have this massive presence leave, the Sir Alex thing, the Arsene Wenger thing. The successor to that is very rarely as successful as the club want them to be. You've got like the Shankly Paisley is like the one example where it's worked perfectly in history. That's not even modern history, is it, these days? Obviously, it's a big task ahead of Arne Slot. I'm just hoping, as a fan, that the structure around Arne Slot and the way that we've brought in the right football people who have a track record of making things work, the Michael Edwards, the Richard Hughes who's had a great record at Bournemouth, around that, I'm hoping that it can work, but I'm definitely not naive to the fact that this is a huge thing. I like Arne Slot personally. I watched a lot of Feyenoord last year for so rare reasons, and I like him. I'm kind of hopeful rather than... I wouldn't say I'm certainly not bullish at this stage, but we'll see. Maybe a good pre-season I'll go in thinking we're going to win the league. We will see. Trent, though, in this Geertruida role is going to be a big decision for Arne Slot to make. I think it's maybe one of the top 5 biggest decisions that Arne Slot's going to need to make. Will Trent play as this right back, or is this the time that Trent moves into this midfield spot? Personally, for me, I think we're going to see him lining up at right back. We've got so many options in the midfield that actually adding another one with Trent is not something I can see happening just because of where the squad is. It's something that I would like to see. I think I really like this midfield. It's the McAllister Trent midfield as a double 6 pivot seems fun to me, and I think it can work better than most people would suggest. I don't think I'd like to see Trent as a lone 6 in there, but in a double pivot, I think this could work, and I think it could be really quite fun. Will it happen? I'm not quite so sure. For now, I'm going to put Trent in at right back, but just know, I'm thinking about it. This double pivot here, I actually want to say, let's say at this point here, this is how I think the midfield would look. I think we would see here McAllister and then a more defensive-minded player like a Wataru Endo. But if the plan is for Wataru Endo to go again, I think Liverpool might need to go and sign a number 6, which maybe contrasts what I just said about Trent going in there. I think this could work in the mould that Feyenoord have played this year with Mats Wiefer alongside Quinton Timber. I think the profiles of these two players fits this. I just wonder if Endo is that top quality. He had brilliant patches last year. I love him to bits. Does he have a ceiling? I think he does. Also, there's a real conversation to have about his age, isn't there? We are using an up-to-date database, by the way. The previous season has been completed in this save. So he's 31 as we go into the summer. He's any player that's past 30, you have to start thinking about succession planning. And I wonder if that's something that needs to happen this season. I'll put him in for now. Left back as well. Let's just go to there. I'm going to put in Andy Robertson. I think there's a lot left. I think he's one of our better players in the poor form that Liverpool went into in the final parts of the season. But Andy Robertson, I think, will be our left back. In terms of the defensive personnel, it's the same. But I think there will be some players brought in to maybe bolster this, which we'll look at after we've gone through the team. Let's put it like this. And then once I've got the players in, we can start moving some players around and giving some different options. In front of this midfield too, for me, I think we might see a bit of Dominic Szoboszlai in this position as a number 10 who can also be really athletic up and down and all around this midfield. I think Szoboszlai in here might be our best option. I'm going to give a really big early shout to saying that Harvey Elliott should have a shot in this number 10 spot. His numbers, he's not started enough games this season, but his numbers when he did, goals and assists, really, really good. He is a player that he opens things up. I'm a big Harvey Elliott fan. And I think people underestimate him because of maybe what he looks like, because he doesn't have the pace, because of the sort of character that he is. A lot of rival fans don't like Harvey Elliott, which I understand. There's a lot of rival players that I don't like. He's a real talent. Trust me on this one. I really do think so. Harvey Elliott in the 10, I think there's a lot to say about this. The final thing I want to say here about this number 10 spot, I would not be shocked if this season we saw this. It might be a bit of a mad shout right now. And there's so many hypotheticals. It's going to be a lot of me talking in today's video. I hope you enjoy this. It's like real football chat, but I can show you in such a good way using Football Manager. And then we'll do a bit of a simulation as well. With his pace going, again, we talked about Endo. Mo Salah's also 31. I think he'll stay, by the way. I don't think this summer we're going to see him moving on to Saudi. I think if there was a bid and there was some real momentum with the interest, I think it would be very, very, very Michael Edwards to consider it and sell him, because next season he'll go on a free if that doesn't happen. And I don't know if we're going to be seeing things like new contracts for Mo Salah. So if there were bids, I could see it happening. For me, personally, I think he's going to stay this year. I'm not against him playing a little bit here and then maybe picking up his successor to come and play as the winger over here. Maybe somebody like a Johan Bakayoko, maybe a Mo Kudus, maybe a Michael Elise. Just 3 names that I'm putting out there, which I think Liverpool could be in the market for should this arise as a situation once pre-season starts and this is what they're planning to do. Just, again, hypotheticals. For now, I'm going to pop him over here on the right-hand side, which, in a Feyenoord Arne Slot system, is more of an out-and-out winger, providing a bit of width. I don't think Mo Salah is going to do that. And in fact, I think these roles may well switch. I think we might see this inverted winger on this side, and then more of a conventional winger on the other side, which I think is probably going to be Luis Diaz. I think he's the best role for this, the player that picks up the ball and dribbles with it. I think Igor Paschal in that Feyenoord team right now. I think Diaz could be that guy. Would love to see him add to his numbers and maybe score a few more goals and get a few more assists. That is kind of what Diaz needs to do, because a lot of the time he feels like he's our best player in a game, and then the end product or the numbers just aren't there to back that up. So he's been a bit unlucky a few times, but maybe next season with a new manager on board and a slightly tweaked role, maybe we'll see it. We will see. I think in my team now, I'm just going to put Szoboszlai in here, and then up front, you've got a conversation to have about Darwin Núñez. I'm going to put him in because I think he's going to be our striker next year. I think Liverpool will stick with him. Again, if he said he wanted to leave and there were bids, I think there's a conversation to be had. I think some of his behaviour on social media and in the Klopp farewell and things like that do lead into these rumours. Then there's some very weird press releases saying they're going to stick with him with next season. So I think Núñez will be our striker. Santiago Jimenez and Núñez, it's an easy comparison to make, but I think they're very different players. I would like to see, personally, Slot try and go with the system that he used at Feyenoord, where they were the kings of the cutback. They get themselves to the byline, they cut it back, and the striker's role, Jimenez, was really, really simple. They simplified everything for him. He was get the ball to him in the box and see if he can just pop it in. Very simple tap-ins a lot of the season. If Liverpool can manufacture that type of system, which I don't know if it's possible in the Premier League, where it is all about that and you have a player that kind of doesn't carry too much water but just taps the ball in, Nunes could thrive in that. If they can simplify his game, he could thrive. I think one of the issues was when he first came, he was this agent of chaos, running in behind and making things happen and just didn't have the finishing. Then he adapted and he really did develop his game and he was much better at the hold-up play and getting involved in the moves and bringing other players in. But it took away from him actually being in front of goal and putting the ball in the back of the net. And then when he was in front of goal, he wasn't putting the ball in the back of the net. If they can re-simplify that again and he is just going to be putting the ball in and then gaining a bit of confidence, maybe we'll see the best of Darwin Núñez. Maybe it'll never happen. I think it's still it's a huge question mark, isn't it? Cody Gakpo is the other option. I just don't see him playing. I guess there were some really good spells from Cody Gakpo, playing off the left-hand side, scored some goals towards the end of the season. He had a really good end to the season. There's a real player in there. I'm not sure how he's going to be used. My hypotheticals here are, let's just wait and see, and hopefully he can fit into this system. Could he play this 10 role? I'm not sure. I think we might see Darwin Núñez in what... This is my Liverpool 11 with the current personnel at the moment. It's quite... I think I've gone safe with it. So I'm going to provide you with some options that I think could happen instead. Again, very chatty today. I hope this is all okay. If you do enjoy this type of thing, please subscribe to the channel. We're going to do a lot of real life stuff coming up. I'm going to do realistic rebuilds of teams like Chelsea and Everton and Premier League teams and think about what their summers might look like. Look at who they're linked with, how they might fit in. If new teams have new managers like Chelsea are going to have, how will they set up? We're going to do loads of this stuff because the summer is my favourite time to talk football. I am a fiend for the transfer rumours. So if you like this, please subscribe and let's now provide you with some different options. And just to scroll down this list here, we've got lots of players that I haven't really mentioned. Curtis Jones. Now, this is an idea. Tell me what you think of this. And I think if you know football, you know that this is a viable option, but we will see. I think if we were to see well, actually, I'll leave McAllister here. If we were to see a double pivot of Curtis Jones, perhaps even as the 6 here, alongside another midfielder, perhaps even, I mean, if you, a Szoboszlai there could work as well in this role. Even, let's put McAllister back in there. Jones in a double pivot. Just think, under 21s Euros in that England team. He played a double 6 pivot with Angel Gomez and was the player of the tournament. He was fantastic in that role. Just bear in mind that I think we might see more of this, but a lot of people have written off Curtis, and I think I'm a big Curtis Jones fan. I think he struggled coming back from the injury last year, but maybe with a pre-season in place, we might see the best of him. So I'm just putting that one out there. We've also got Ryan Gravenberch I've not mentioned. I don't know. I guess he's just going to be another one of these options that can play in this midfield, probably in like that type of role. Perhaps he's not really more of the defensive-minded one. Of course, we'll see. Again, we'll see. Fabio Carvalho back from his loan. Will he get a chance is a question. And Diogo Jota, another player that I've not mentioned. Will he play just as this striker? The only thing with Jota is I think he's an unbelievable footballer, but is he going to be available enough? His availability recently is just too many injuries. Just too many injuries. What a player he is. Will always get you a goal, but just too many injuries currently. There, though, is what I think it's going to be like. In fact, I'll put it back to what I think it is going to be. In fact, I am umming and ahhing about what I want it to look like. Right, one final option for you. One final option. The hipster's choice. How do you feel about this? And there's actually another player that I've not mentioned here that I haven't put into this squad because on this right here, he's still in the under-21s. If I move Conor Bradley into this 11 and you actually simplify this a little bit and it will be the system side change, so ignore the role a little bit. What about this? What about this? You could even do it, but I think even that way around. McAllister as the 10, like he played for Argentina. You've got Salah on the right, Núñez, Diaz. You've got Trent and Jones at a double pivot in the midfield. Have I lost my mind? I might have done. You can let me know in the comments down below if I've lost my mind. What I'm going to do now, though, is go across to the short list I have made and just go through one or two of the potential signings that I could see Arne Slot and perhaps more importantly, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards making this summer to try and bolster this team. Some of the links that I expect you guys to see Liverpool being linked to this summer. If we just go down the list, Geertruida, I think we talked about him before. If that was a really specialised role that Arne Slot wanted in the team and he is really convinced that Geertruida could do it in the Premier League, then maybe you would see us linked to him. Again, I'm sceptical about going back to Feyenoord and going for players that have been playing in the previous team because I'm sure there are other players that can go and do those roles. Geertruida, though, I think we may see some links to. Similar to Matt Weaver, who I really like. He's a bit of a Rodri light, and I think most people are going to say that when you talk about Mats Wiefer. Doing it in the Eredivisie, very different to going and doing it in the Premier League, though. But if those people in charge would go and analyse all of that data and decided that this guy could do it, he's 6'2". I really enjoyed watching him this year. I don't know if we're going to see it actually happen, but there's a chance. There's a chance. I've just put him on the list anyway. I think there will be links. William Pacho. I think this might be the strongest of all the links that I've seen so far this summer. Left-sided centre-back. I talked about we need a centre-back, I believe. He plays for Frankfurt. Could also go and play left-back if needed. I think we're going to see some links to him to bolster that defence. This one I'm throwing out there. I've not seen any links this summer yet, but Levi Colwill. Chelsea will not want to sell him, but Chelsea do need to sell people, players. They need to raise money because of all of the spending they've done in the past. He's not made the Euros team for England, the Euro squad. Will he be disenfranchised with another manager leaving, or will he be charmed by a new manager coming in? I just wonder if this season Liverpool revisit the links to Levi Colwill. I think they were really hot on him last summer. I think he's a player they really like. It feels very Edwards to me. So a player that maybe had high hopes and then didn't quite reach them, and then you go and rejuvenate that when they're on a bit of a low ebb, which I feel like Levi Colwill might be at the moment. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe this one won't happen, but that's one that I've got like a gut feeling about that one. Antonio Silva, really good young defender. Benfica, could see links to him. He's going to be linked with a lot of top teams this summer. Lenny Yoro already being linked with a load of top clubs. These are my centre-back options, by the way. I think Lenny Yoro stinks a little bit of PSG, and I think they've been heavily linked, and there were some rumours that it wasn't going to happen, but I just think Lenny Yoro might end up there. But if Liverpool were to go and get him, it'd be very, very exciting. He is a highly rated young centre-back, so just throwing him out there. Wiefer we talked about. Ait Nouri, loads of links at Wolves. Wolves may need to sell a couple of players too because of PSR reasons, of course. Ait Nouri, I think, on that left-hand side, Robertson replacement. Don't know how it fits in the slot system necessarily. They used Hartman this year, who isn't dissimilar, actually, if you look at the profile of Hartman, who was playing for Feyenoord this year. Here he is, pacey. That's not a dissimilar profile, I think, to Ait Nouri. So maybe, perhaps that could be something that could be rejuvenated this summer. Here's one that I'm throwing in. Haven't seen any concrete links this summer, but Andre. I don't think the links to a player like Andre for a team like Liverpool just die away. And he still hasn't made that move to Europe. Fulham were in for him. I thought other teams were looking at him. Still at Fluminense. Will this be the summer if Liverpool need to go and get that sixth? If it's not Wiefer, is it going to be Andre? I'm going to put him back. I'm going to throw his hat back in the ring. Then I've put in some more attacking players. Crescencio Somerville. I think this one will depend on whether Leeds get promoted. I think if they don't win the playoff final and there is value to be had with Crescencio Somerville, I think it's the type of signing that Liverpool would make with Edwards and Hughes at the helm. I think it could be a cheap option. Could be, I think they've seen a player in there somewhere because there's too many links to ignore those ones. Dani Olmo, recently seen links. I think this might be the summer that he does leave Leipzig. Don't know if it'll be to Liverpool, but he's one that I'm going to throw in there. Florian Wirtz, I don't think this is going to happen, but it would be fun, wouldn't it? It would be nice. I think he's got Man City written all over him, to be honest, especially now that Paquetá probably isn't going to go to City, is he? So he's probably going to go to jail instead. So Florian Wirtz to City might happen, but I'm going to put him in this link as well because I think Liverpool should try and get themselves in the conversation, if so, because he's such a lovely, lovely footballer, isn't he? Mo Kudus, if he does have that release clause, I love him as a player, so I want him to be on this list. This one, I think this might be the most realistic for the midfield. I'm going to go back to that midfield. Orkun Kokcu played under Slot at Feyenoord when they won the league a few seasons ago. In fact, he played a lot of games, at Feyenoord. He's moved on to Benfica. This negates the going back to your old club problem because he's at Benfica now. But he could definitely do this double pivot midfield role. Still young at 23 as well. Keep an eye on that one. I've got a big feeling about it. Johan Bakayoko, so many links. If the Salah, it depends what happens with Salah, but will they go and look for a right winger? Potentially, they will need to at some point, won't they? Because Salah's contract is up next summer regardless. Michael Olise, I'm going to put it in there as well. If he has this release clause, I'd just like Liverpool to be in the conversation. Again, for that Mo Salah role, go and bring him in. He's just a lovely, lovely footballer, isn't he? Palace playing some lovely stuff at the moment. Those are my options. I've put them onto a short list. What we're going to do now is we're going to go and remove all of my players that I have picked in my 11, how I think Slot is going to set up Liverpool. We're going to go and leave everything in charge of our lovely assistant, who, in this particular save, is Arne Slot. He's going to go and play a season. I'm going to also put all transfers in the hands of Richard Hughes so that he might go and sign people too, because the window is open. They do have money to go and spend. Let's go and find out what happens in Football Manager as long as they're playing this Arne Slot system. So I'll see you in May of 2025 and we'll find out what Football Manager thinks and see if they win the league with Arne Slot. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? I'll see you then. And here we are then, 31st of May 2025. We're a season in with Arne Slot at the helm in FM24. And Liverpool have finished... They finished 4th. It's not an amazing season, but before we even talk about Slot and Liverpool or anything, we need to mention the fact that Ange's taken Spurs to the title. They've won the league in next season. If this is foreseeing what's going to happen next year, then this would be truly remarkable. Spurs are going to win the league. They are incredible. They got to the... Hang on a minute. In the Champions League, they got to the quarterfinals and lost to Real Madrid. We're looking at Spurs. This isn't what this is about, but they've won the league. Liverpool have finished 4th. They've won 18 of the 38, drawn loads of matches. Those are the matches drawn there, look. Drawing teams like Forest away, Newcastle away, Everton at home, Leicester at home, newly promoted Leicester, and Wolves at home, 0-0 too. That would be disappointing, wouldn't it, for Arne Slot? They've lost only 7 games, so that's actually similar to the Champions. It's a low points tally, actually. 67 points isn't good enough. It is good enough for Champions League in this particular season, but that's not great. Only a goal difference of 16 as well. Let's have a look at the team. If we go to here with the tactic, which, as you can see, I left in. If we quick pick this... Do you know what? Actually, let's not quick pick it. Let's pick in the best 11, and we can kind of see some of the stats that go with the players. It's pretty much the team that I talked about before the simulation, right? Alisson in goal, Trent, Gomez, and... Hang on a minute. There's no Van Dijk. I see a new player there as well. Lucas Ocampos has been brought in. So he's come in on a free transfer, not one that I've linked. Not sure this one's going to happen. How old is he now? 30 years old. Not sure we're going to see that one. There's no Van Dijk. We need to look at the transfers. Van Dijk has been sold. They sold Van Dijk to Al Ittihad to go and join up with Fabinho in the summer for £36 million. Mo Salah stayed. He didn't go to Saudi, but Van Dijk did. The only signings were on a free as well, so they didn't spend that money. Did Michael Edwards, did Richard Hughes. Paul Wanner, good youngster from Bayern Munich. That would be a nice little signing, wouldn't it, on a free. And Lucas Ocampos, again, I can't see this one happening, came in on a free too. Other players that left were ones that maybe you would expect a little bit more. Thiago going out on a free look, as he's going to actually leave the club in real life, isn't he? Loaning by Cetic. Other than that, the transfers aren't too much to write home about. No Van Dijk, though. So Gomez played 54 games. Konate played 47. 50 games from Endo in the midfield. Gravenberch first choice. 45 games from him alongside Endo as the Segundo Volante, with McAllister in at the 10. 19 goals from McAllister. 3 assists. Salah with the most goals, 20, with 12 assists. Darwin Nunez, who started 38, maybe sharing it with Jota, who played 27. Gakpo only started 8, so maybe not sharing it with him up front. 4 games from Carvalho there as well, look. Maybe you'd expect a bit more from Darwin Nunez, but maybe we've been saying that now for a while. That's okay, interesting in terms of the squad. How did they do in competitions then? Champions League wise, where did they went out in the round of 16 to Dortmund? They lost at home and then drew away from home with Carvalho with the consolation late on. That's not very good, is it? FA Cup semi-final. And then they lost to Arsenal in extra time there after, 121st minute winner from Tomiyasu. And then Carabao Cup, they lost in the final to Brentford, which is also pretty interesting. An Ivan Toney hat-trick for Brentford. No trophies. Overall, a bit of a disappointing season. Is it the type of season you might expect from a transitional club now after seeing Jurgen Klopp leave? Is this maybe the new reality for Liverpool fans? I certainly hope not. I'm sure some of you guys will definitely be hoping for this to come true, or maybe even worse for you guys. What do you predict? That's my question for you. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching today. I really do appreciate you being here. Subscribe to the channel. What I want you to comment is, what do you predict for Liverpool next year? Being completely honest, you can put tribalism aside. Do you think they're going to struggle because the void, the vacuum that is being left behind after Klopp's exit? Or do you think actually some of the moves that they're going to make are pretty sensible? I've actually seen them, by the way. We talked about Lenny Yoro, just to go off piece one more time in this video. We talked about Lenny Yoro being on my shortlist here. Since I started recording that, I've been on Twitter and seen some things linking him pretty heavily, actually. And I would be all over this. Just 18 years old. turning 19 next year. Well, that's how it works, isn't it, with ages? I'd be all over this as a potential signing. He's a real talent. So just to go off-piste again. But let me know in the comments, what do you predict for Liverpool in this new era under Arne Slot? Will it be a struggle of a first season? Let me know in those comments. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your day. As I said, there's going to be loads of videos all about real-life football stuff, using FM as sort of the tool to do so. So stick around for those, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.